Hearts art in heaven, we are so very thankful for this opportunity we have to gather together today as AAC members here at BYU. We're so very thankful for the opportunity we have to hear from Christina as well. We're grateful that she was able to travel here in safety. We ask that blessing upon her as she returns home later today. We're so very thankful, Father, for our professors, as well as our peers, as well as the help that Thou hast given us as we've gone through the semester this time around. And we're so very thankful for the opportunity to take finals in the upcoming week, and we ask for Thy Spirit to be with us, that as we study now, we'll be able to remember the things that we're studying now, and be able to prove the things that we've learned. And Father, we're so very thankful for Thy Son, Jesus Christ, especially at this Christmas time, and we ask that we might be blessed with opportunities to become more like Him. Please help us to look for opportunities as well to apply the atonement of Jesus Christ in our lives more often. And these things we say humbly, in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, so we are so excited for our seminar speakers today. We have Christina Swallow. She is the ASCE National President, so it's such an honor for us to have her here. Before I introduce her more, I wanted to go over some announcements. This is the last stuff that we have going on. Your guys' seminar grades are due on the 14th. And so if you are seniors and you still need a leadership point, please email byuasce@gmail.com. And we have a few more opportunities for you. Also, if you need you need service points or activity points, we have a few activities, a few service points as well. You can still get your stuff done. Some of the things, IT is having their closing social tonight. And also, for those who volunteered for Habitat for Humanity, you should have gotten emails. It's full, that registration, but meet behind the Structures Lab on Saturday at 12:30. Some of the other things, we have basketball security coming up. There'll be more opportunities next semester for service, as well as the STEM after-school program. And if you want an ASC polo, just like this one, we have a bunch, so feel free to sign up. Also, for your networking tip for this week, over the break, update your resume. We're having our networking dinner on February 6th. We're going to have 20 companies present, and the STEM fair is the 7th. So make sure you're working on your resume. We're going to ask for all of those who are attending the networking dinner to turn them in like mid-January. So just make sure you're working on that. So for the ASC Closing Social, it's on Tuesday. It's at 5. We're going to have a lot of fun. For those who are members, it's free. If you're not a member of our chapter, it's going to be a $4 fee to help pay for supplies. And if you're not sure if your membership is still active or not, there was a link that was sent out from the ASC announcements that is there. So you can look at there as well. And it's also on the blog. So for the Christmas party, it starts at 5 at the event center. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a gingerbread competition. And so you can bring anything that's edible to help strengthen your gingerbread house. We're going to have a couple different things. We're having the tallest house with the minimum amount of weight, the most creative house, and we'll provide basic supplies, but anything else that you want to add, feel free to bring. There will be prizes, and we're going to have donuts and hot chocolate. So come, it'll be a lot of fun, but remember, if you're not a member, it won't cost $4. So one other thing is, a last service project that we're doing is we're doing a sub for Santa, and we're also donating for Toys for Tots. So for those that need service points, just remember that this only counts for one service point maximum. Every $10 you donate or every gift you donate is one service point. The link for the sub for Santa will be on the blog, and it's also going to be emailed out to everyone, and where you can sign up to bring specific gifts. Those gifts need to all be in by Wednesday night into the civil engineering office. If you're a senior that still needs a leadership point, please feel free to email us and we can help you. We need 2 seniors involved with that. And we also have hard hats that we're going to pass around. If you want to donate money to either Sub for Santa or Toys for Tots, you can put some cash in there and we'll use that to give gifts to kids. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Christina Swallow. She is the past president of the American Society of Civil Engineers. She just finished her term up in October as the president, so she's past president. She's a civil engineering leader with more than 20 years of professional practice in water resources, transportation, and land development. Among her past roles, she served as Region 8 Director, Region 8 Governor, which is our region, Chair of Education Activities and Diversity and Women in Civil Engineering Committees, and the ASCE's 150th Anniversary Steering Committee. She has a diverse professional background that includes serving as a program manager in Capital Improvement Division for the City of Las Vegas, as a transportation policy advisor for a U.S. Senator in Washington, D.C., and working as a land development consultant in the fastest growing city in the United States, including 5 years as a small business owner. She has a variety of experience, and she's passionate about civil engineering and infrastructure and all the benefits that come to that in communities. And she's married to a civil engineer, Dave, and she has 2 dogs. In her spare time, she enjoys running, aerobatics, exploring new cities, and just trying new things. So would you please welcome me and give a warm welcome to Christina.
Oh, it is working now. Okay, good.
You won't lose your place.
All right, let's do All right, and now I'm going to do one with all of you. Yes. And I'll put the mic on. I think I need to be over far away, right? Guys, like, can you like squeeze in or like just pretend we're very coming into this? Oh, we're still.
Smile, Tom, on camera.
This doesn't look very good. There's a whole huge hole in the middle. Scoot in, because like, I just need all of this. You don't want to be
Pass it along.
Alright, can you guys at the back hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, alright. I'm going to go ahead and try and lose my voice then because trying to put that up all in last week is very hard. So, thank you for indulging me and scooting into the middle a little bit, at least for the picture. I don't want to be the school I visited and there was nobody there, right? Especially when there's a lot of you here. So, thank you for doing that. I am really, truly excited to be here and to talk to you a little bit about ASCE, how we see the future, and some of the challenges and discussions and thoughts that addressing some of the questions you guys might have. So I'm really glad to be here. This is my second time on the campus, but I have to tell you, the last time I was on the campus, I was in a building. It was not this building. I don't know which building it was. And that's about all I can tell you. So I'm excited that I'm here again. I'm excited, and I didn't meet any students last time. So it's good to be back here. I think I'm going to get to tour your new building, which I've heard fantastic things about. So thank you. Thank you for having me. And Sammy, I did get my haircut since that picture.
Oh, okay.
Sammy asked me if I got my haircut last night. After we had dinner. All right. So engineering, civil engineering, we're an exciting profession. I assume that you know that or think that because you would probably not have chosen it if you didn't think it was exciting. But social, like media, the public sphere, they agree that we are more exciting than maybe we have been in the past, although I think we still struggle with that a little bit. But we evidenced it by 2 things. One, the one on your right, your Jeopardy question. Now that one I think is about 15 years old, but it's pretty cool when you get referenced on, on Jeopardy. That's cool. But the other one is John Oliver. So how many of you guys have seen Infrastructure by John Oliver? Just the infrastructure clip. Okay. Only 3 of you. 4. All right. I'm going to tell you it's not suitable for work. There's cursing in it. That's about as bad. It's cursing, but there is cursing in there. So I'm going to tell you in case, and I tell everybody this because you might not want to watch it. But if you're okay with cursing, it's really funny. It's like 10 minutes. It's like 10 minutes, and it has a famous actor. Is it Jason Morrison? I never remember the guy's name. But it's got a famous actor in it, and it's a 10-minute clip all about why nobody talks about civil engineering. And it's like this super high impact thriller, you know, like things are collapsing. Watch it. It's good. I don't want to, you know, not too much. All right, so this is also old data, but you know, civil engineers, engineers and civil engineering in particular, we're in demand. And the anticipated growth of our profession is outpacing that of other professions. And that sort of makes sense, right? Because our infrastructure is in the United States, it's not in fantastic condition. Globally, there's some places that are better than the United States, but there's a lot of places that it's worse than the United States. And yet our population is continuing to grow at 80 million a year globally. So of course, they're going to need us, right? Because the needs for clean drinking water, the needs for safe transportation systems, those aren't going away. And for buildings that are going to withstand earthquakes. I saw on Facebook, it was on Facebook this week, you know, the big Alaska earthquake that just happened last weekend, I think it was. And they had a table of the major, like 7.0 or greater earthquakes, I think it was 7, that had happened in the last decade or so. And the number of fatalities that were associated with those earthquakes. And there were none in Alaska. But that hasn't been the case in so many of the others. And so, you know, safe buildings, that's part of it. So the need for civil engineers is just going to continue to grow. But our role might change as we move forward. And so we need to be thinking about that, and ASC has been thinking about that. In 2006, I believe it was, we convened a group of stakeholders. So it was civil engineers, but it was also mechanical engineers, electrical engineers. I think there were some policymakers in the room. And we started talking about what the role of civil engineers would need to be in 2025. Now I know that this is not very far out, and I'll tell you that we're actually actively looking at our next visioning document, and it's really cool what they're doing. So you need to stay tuned for that. It's probably about a year out until we release that document and release some of the stuff that goes with it. So we're still going to talk about this, but we're in the process of visioning for the next 10, 25, and 50 years out, and I'm really excited about it, so that you'll not be hearing it the first time. We're calling it the Future World Vision. So if you hear about that, stay tuned. It's really interesting. In the meantime, we're going to talk about Vision of 2025. So Vision of 2025 is that civil engineers will be entrusted by society to build a more sustainable world and improve the global quality of life by working collaboratively, competently, and ethically. And I'd like to make sure that we talk about that ethics part, because as we travel, I don't talk about ethics a lot. Our current president, Robin Pepper, she talks about ethics a lot. It's something that's been a core part of her career, and I don't, and I think it's because I've always worked in what I would say have been pretty ethical places. But that's not the case globally, and so we need to make sure that we're emphasizing that ethics piece, because it can be a challenge. It can even be a challenge here in the United States. One of our industry leaders talks about some of the ethics challenges his firm faced. It was a couple decades ago, but still just remembering ethics in everything we do. So competently, collaboratively, ethically as master builders. And there's several of these that I'm going to go through. And we use the term master builder to encompass everything. So it's not just that we're designing the infrastructure, right? A lot of us, when we practice, when you graduate and start practicing, a lot of us do the design. But we're also the constructors, we're the operators and the maintainers, and we need to be thinking about all of those roles, both as opportunities for us as practicing professionals, but also as we talk about our role in the future. One of the challenges we face now, and we talked about it in the car yesterday, is that, Sammy and Camille and I did, was that computers today are starting to do the work that we did before, right? So it's not completely a foreign concept to think that at some point in the future the computer will do the core design work. So we need to be thinking about what our role becomes if the computer is doing the design. We still have a very critical role in that design, but it may be a different role than what we've done in the past and what we're doing today. So we need to be thinking about our whole scope of roles in the construction, operating, and maintaining of our infrastructure. Stewards of the environment. This is something that I don't know that we've all, as historically, as civil engineers, always considered or thought about. And we may have thought about aspects of it, but not the broad spectrum of it. So we need to be thinking about how do we build our infrastructure in a sustainable manner. Completely sustainable. Definitely environmentally sustainable, but economically and socially sustainable. We need to be thinking about this because we know today that there's significant impacts of climate change, and we need to be thinking about that. I'm from Las Vegas. You guys heard that. I'm from Las Vegas, and so seawater rise, not a big issue. And so I've been hearing about this seawater rise, sea level rise, for a while now, right? They've been talking about it, I've been hearing about it, and it was never really real to me until our annual convention in October, where we had a panel talking about the impact of sea level rise on their community, where in parts of the Hampton Roads, Virginia area, so that's where Norfolk is, in Virginia, they've experienced already 10 inches of sea level rise. And I thought, did you guys know that? I didn't know that. So this is real. And obviously what we're talking about with like what's happening in Houston, you know, where they, like, yes, Harvey hit Houston. But Harvey was just one in a series of year after year after year. I think they said it was something like 5 or 7 years where they had repetitive flooding that exceeded expectations, exceeded practice. And so we need to be thinking about how our projects can impact and improve. Remember that part where I said build a sustainable world? So how do our projects, what's our role in helping to improve the quality of life in a sustainable way? And how do we protect and enhance the environment along the way? Innovators. We would not likely build the Brooklyn Bridge today the way we built it then. Right? Wouldn't do that. Golden Gate probably wouldn't do that. Hoover Dam. It's good that we built those then. We know more now. And we're continuing to learn. And we need to continue to learn and continue to develop our capacity to innovate how we deliver our infrastructure to our communities. One of the things that I was asked recently is what is something, I was at a Rhodes conference and they asked me what is something that excites you and terrifies you about like a technology thing. And I use the example of autonomous vehicles because I didn't realize, like the way they asked it, I thought I only got one, but some people use two, like think that excites them differently. But to me it was the same. Autonomous vehicles, because they have the capacity to completely transform the way we move, the way we live, the outcomes of our transportation system. But if we're not involved and engaged and innovating the way we build our infrastructure, and innovating, I think it's actually it's 2 slides now, and innovating the way we communicate about our infrastructure, they also have the capacity to completely blow up congestion, completely double or triple or further our commute times. So we need to be involved and engaged and be in helping with that innovation, not letting that innovation happen outside of us. We need to be having those conversations. And you know, interesting, one of the places where we've seen a lot of innovation has been in the contracting side. And some of this that you may find when you start practicing that when you're working with contractors, that because there's a value proposition for them, right? The more they innovate, the lower the cost for them, the more profit they make. So there's a lot of innovation happening there. And we as the designer side, if we're not on the contracting side, we need to be helping, we need to be working with them to help innovate. Managers of risk and uncertainty. I mentioned Harvey. And people often ask when flooding happens or when bad things happen, why we didn't design for this. Well, why wasn't it real? Why? And the answer is we can design for anything, right? Like we can find an answer, we can design for it. But there's trade-offs, right? And there's limited resources, so we have to talk about, well, what's the risk? And what's the trade-off for that? You know, what is it going to cost us to design for? Now, arguably, Harvey is a different situation, right? The risk of that was completely outside of the spectrum of risk that people were thinking about and talking about. Yet at the same time, we as engineers don't often talk about risk. We we've all pretty much assumed we design for a computer storm event, but we don't talk about that with our communities. And we need to. We need to engage with them and share with them the risks and the design decisions that we're making so they can help us make better decisions there. We need to understand that. I mentioned we have limited resources for our infrastructure, and I don't have a slide on this, but have you guys heard of our report card?
Yeah.
And you've heard about the funding shortage? It's like $2.4 trillion is the funding shortage. So if you look at that as how limited our resources are, and let's look at bridges. How do you decide which bridge you invest in? We need to be thinking about the risk and uncertainty. We need to be thinking about the impact. You know, generally, when we invest in our infrastructure, we invest, every state gets a little bit, every city gets a little bit, every ward within the city gets a little bit, or commission district. So everybody gets a little bit, but that might not be the most efficient and effective way to be investing in our infrastructure. So we need to be thinking about that and talking about risk to help have better conversations about that. And when we have those conversations, we need to be engaging with the elected leaders. Okay? This is something that civil engineers don't do. Hardly at all. Hardly at all. I was talking to a political consultant earlier this week, and we were having a conversation. I'm like, yes, civil engineers don't do this, right? We don't engage in public policy. Typically, we don't run for office, but you don't have to run for office to engage in public policy. You just have to write an op-ed or go to your city council meeting and talk about something that matters to you. Or this is the ASCE fly-in that happens in March. But you don't have to go to DC to engage in public policy. You can also become a key contact. And you can do this as a student if you're a member of the society overall, not just your student chapter. You can become a key contact. And what that means to you is that you'll receive maybe 10 extra emails a year. I say that because all of us have way too many emails and managing them. But when you get an email, the timing is critical for you to respond. So basically, you become a key contact, they send you an email and they say, the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee is voting today on whatever. Email your congressman and tell them to vote yes, or email your congressman and tell them to vote no. And the thing is, you don't have to even think about it, because they already wrote the email for you. So you type in your zip code, and then you click 3 things, and it goes. I worked in Washington, D.C. for 3 years. And during that time, a couple of things were going on. The first major exposure I had to engaging in public policy in that role, like on the other side, so hearing about engagement, was I worked there from 2009 to 2012. The Affordable Care Act passed 3 months after I got there. I started, or 4 months. I started in August, it passed in December, right before Christmas. People in the United States, the public in general, cared so much about the Affordable Care Act. Some of them loved them, some of them loved it, some of them hated it, that our phone system shut down. That has happened several times since then on various other issues. During that same time frame, the FAA bill was in the process of being passed. It was on short-term extensions for a total of 5 years. And one of those short-term extensions, we allowed it to lapse for a month. All the senators went home for the August work period, and any project that was funded by the FAA at that time had to shut down. So the funding source was unknown. I heard from one person. The safety law, the transportation legislation at the time, was allowed to lapse several times while I was there. Generally over a weekend, so it wasn't a major impact, because Monday or Tuesday they would re-activate on it and extend it a little bit longer. And I generally didn't hear from anyone. Now when I say I didn't hear from anyone, I mean people. Because when I would talk to the engineers, they would tell me, well, I thought the state was calling me, or I thought the city, or I thought my employer. And yeah, I did generally hear from cities and states and big companies and ASCE, but I didn't hear from the people. And when the senator would ask me, well, how many people so it's important that we engage. The other little story I have about this is that ASC does a fly-in, and so we talk about how important it is to invest in infrastructure at our fly-in. We have generally, every time we do it, it's in March. We have 2 or 3 main things that we're focusing on. Lots of other groups do fly-ins. It's like fly-in season. You work on the Hill, everybody knows the spring is fly-in season. We're going to start hearing from all of these groups who have interests in various pieces of legislation. So I'm working on this transportation policy, and of course I hear from ASC, right? They come in, I hear from them. But I also heard from the cyclists. And the cyclists, I heard, how many of you guys are cyclists? I'm a cyclist. And cyclists are passionate about the condition of the roads that they bike on. Right? Like, this is something they care about. More so than the condition of the roads they drive on, interestingly. But they care about the condition of the roads they bike on. More of them go to their fly-in than ASC engineers go to our fly-in. And they pay their own way to do it. And they contacted me throughout the year. So they come in, they met me during the fly-in, and then throughout the year they'd send me notes. And they'd send me pictures about the condition of the bike lane. I also heard from horse people, because there's trailer legislation involved in all of this, what roads trailers can be on, the impact of the roads, the condition of the roads impacts whether or not they can get the trailer across the bridge. So who do you want shaping transportation legislation? I mean, of course, we want diverse stakeholders in that conversation, but shouldn't engineers have a voice in that? Shouldn't engineers have one of those louder voices in that? Because we understand the impact of our infrastructure, and we know the outcomes of the investment. But our voice is a very small voice in that conversation as voters. And that's what the legislators want. They want to hear from us as voters. So I encourage you to keep contact. Any of your people, computer open, did you like look it up? You wrote it down. But I bet Sammy can get you more information on how to do it. It's really easy to sign up to be a key contact. And if not, I can help you, and she'll let me know, and we'll figure that out. So join and be a key contact. So that's the overall vision of 2025. Your career is the next part of the presentation. So like ASCE has a vision for the future, you arguably probably have a vision for your own future and what you're thinking about doing doing tomorrow or when you graduate. Skylar, in like 10 days or 14 days, what are we on?
I think it's 14 in March.
14, so she graduates. I had dinner last night. So you might have some questions. What to help make that decision for your future as you're looking for the future? So one of the questions is, should you get a PE? What do you guys think?
Yes.
So what I'm going to tell you is that you may graduate and find yourself in a job that doesn't require you to get licensed. I would offer that you should take that exam as soon as you can. Are you still coupled here? Is it 4 years before you take the exam?
No.
So as soon as you graduate, after you pass the take that exam as soon as you can. Do it. Because, study. You're going to have to study. Study. But take that exam because it doesn't get easier. The further out of school you get out, the further you get out, it's the harder. Because right now you're in the habit of studying, right? Like that's a big part of it. You're going to have to study to take a PE. It's not like you're not going to be able, maybe some people, but I doubt very many of you would be able to take a PE without studying. So you're going to have to study, but right now you know how to study. And a lot of what you've learned is fresh in your brain. If you ended up in a career where you didn't need to take it, you're like my friend, I have a friend who's a mechanical engineer, and he decided almost 30 years out of school that to be a mechanical engineer it was important to him to have his license, and he had not, it was never required, but to him, as a point of pride, he's like, I need to get my license. I say I'm a mechanical engineer, but I'm not licensed. So, it was like 30 years out, he decided to take the exam, and I'm running with his wife. His wife's my close friend, and running with her, and I'm like, it's like impacting his family, as he's studying, he's having to relearn a lot of the stuff that we learned here right now. Why not pass? It's really hard. I'm like managing her expectation. My husband's like, why are you being so negative? I'm like, I'm not being negative to him. I'm like just letting her know, like managing her, he passed. But it took a lot. So do it now when you're already used to studying. Do it now when families are already like used to you taking time for school. Take it as soon as you can. Don't wait and take it 20, 30 years out. Because you never know when you're going to need it. And most likely, if you're in this traditional scope of civil engineering, you're going to need it at some point. All right. Did you get a master's degree? What do you guys think?
Yes.
I love that. I love it. Yes, do it. How many credit hours do you guys need? So you guys need about 129 credit hours to graduate with your undergrad degree. When I graduated, I needed 144. Yeah. I can't really tell you any class that well, there's one that I took that I didn't. It was Fortran. And it was a couple of us. I think you took one. Did you ever use your Fortran? Right. Yeah. Would you like to today, though, know a little more about coding? Yeah. So while we didn't use that particular class, I don't know that the need for that class has disappeared. On top of that, I didn't take a class in sustainability. And it wasn't really woven into anything that I learned. Because you could argue that some of these can be woven into the curriculum. I didn't take a class on risk management. I didn't get really anything on public outreach, engagement with the public. And today, when we build our projects, if you haven't engaged with the public, you can bet the public is going to engage with you. So it's better that we engage up front and help manage that conversation and manage the expectations. We don't get those classes. You guys have classes on public outreach?
Not within our program.
Yeah. Risk management?
It's in some of the other classes.
So my point is, you guys are getting more credit hours. You learn different than I did, probably better than I did, but there's other classes that have been cut. A lot of classes have been technical content. And so even after I graduated with about 124, I had more because I did like random classes like dance and basketball and German, which would probably be better if I was going. I'm going to Spain tomorrow and I don't know Spanish. And interestingly, they say their C's like a TH, so that's freaking me out because I grew up in Tucson and so I know how to count, but I don't know what this Inco word is. So even after I graduated at 144 credit hours, my first job, I thought I was going to do transportation. That's what I wanted to do. My first job was flood controls. And I never taken an ocean flow class. So I'm back in school taking an ocean flow class. And ultimately I got my master's while I was working, which was good for me because I was able to apply what I was learning to the office and ask different questions because I was working. So it worked for me. Some people, it works to just do it straight out of school and just power through an extra year or two. Whatever works for you, do it. Find a way to get that education, to get that extra education. It will help differentiate yourself moving forward. And it will help you be a better engineer. You know, and you may work for somebody who says you don't need it. And that may be true in that practice area. But ultimately, your peers who got their degrees, their master's degrees, are going to go for it. So I encourage you to consider getting a master's degree. And not waiting until it's a requirement. Because that some people do wait until it's a requirement. Should you specialize?
Yes.
Okay. If you want. Yeah, I'm going to say on this one, there's no right answer. There are a lot of general civil engineers out there. And there's a lot of jobs for people who have a general understanding. And then there's a lot of jobs for people who are technical experts in one particular specialty area. The intent of this slide, though, is to let you know that if you do choose to specialize, and even if you don't, ASCE has a technical home for you. So there's the ASCE overall, and then there's also technical institutes, 9 technical institutes, where you will find your technical peers and where they do the technical publications and they have the technical conferences so that whatever you're working on, you can go and beef up on your technical knowledge. I personally am a member. Remember, transportation is my passion. That's what I thought I wanted to do. I arguably am a general engineer today, but I'm a member of the Transportation and Development Institute. Living in Las Vegas, we do a lot of land development. And then I'm also a member of the Utility Engineering and Surveying Institute, because when I worked at the city of Las Vegas, I did a lot of work with our underground utilities. So I'm a member of two, and as a full member of ASCE, you get a free membership into any one of these, so you can pick one. And if you end up in your career pivoting at some point, you just pick a different one. So do that. Join one. All right, so other reasons to be involved with ASCE on a society level, not just in your student chapter, is career resources. So ASCE has a website where you can find and identify job locations and opportunities. But beyond that, I like to just say that every single job I got is because of ASCE, in one way, shape, or form. I wasn't a student chapter member, but once